Hey, you guys, thanks for joining us tonight. I've got some amazing, beautiful, brilliant souls here tonight. We are going to chat about the fourfold formula for all things wellness, true stories of the heart, spirit, the mind, and the body. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? So guess what we're doing? We're doing a little bit of a tease for you guys. If you didn't see the other first chat, go ahead and search any of the platforms out there, social media platforms out there, and check out what I think I had 3 other authors on the first one. And what we're doing is we're just giving you a little bit of tease into this story. So what's the book about? It's a compilation book of 30 authors. We have 7 media partners who are also writing stories for the book. 30 contributing authors. And so that's a lot of stories. Normally the book comes out. Lori can tell you this. We've been a part of projects before. Normally, the authors don't know each other that well. You show up to interviews, and that's typically how somebody meets, unless you've been in another project with each other. And Markus and I didn't want to do it that way. We wanted to make sure everybody really knew each other. And so when the book comes out in June and you see the book and you're reading the book and you're seeing the interviews from the contributing authors, you're going to know that we have spent several months getting to know each other. It's sincere. We know each other well where we live. We have Zoom meetings, so we are a family. So I'm so excited. All right, I'm going to get the party started. So I'm going to pull up a story. If you saw the other show the other day that we posted, I did read a story. It's one of my other stories. I'm going to read a different one today. We're only giving you a tease of a couple hundred words. So let's get started. Here is my tease. 10 years later, at age 37, I decided I was cured. I helped create an eating disorder coalition only to remove myself a few months in. Just listening to others share their stories tossed me into a perfection fire. I couldn't clear the smoke around my feelings and thoughts about eating and working out. I not only began recognizing my true issues with food and body dysmorphia, but I also began to uncover the depths of my mental and physical health. It was at this time I recognized that I had fat eyes, a term I use to this day. To others, I looked fit and everyone thought I had my shit together. I mean, what do you do as a fitness expert? I help others, and coming clean that I didn't have my act together was a professional bullet. Others saw me with normal eyes, not me. In pulling off the masquerade mask of my past, I began to see the teenage girl who was withering away to nothing. I remember the time I was an office girl, and while turning in the classroom attendance sheet to the secretary, someone came up behind me and pulled my Levi 501s down to my knees. I had lost so much weight, they were sagging. Kids often told me, put some meat on your bones and you won't be cold. For those of you who don't remember attendance sheets being turned into the office, I dated myself. So yeah, there you go. So that's one of my stories. In the show we did the other day, it was interesting. One of the gals contacted me after, and she said she was really heavy, because I forget, I've read all you guys' stories, and I've gone through kind of that emotional, I've gone through that emotional thing. And so she hadn't heard everybody else's story. So by the time she did, she was feeling really heavy with it. So, all right, let's go around the room. Can I call on you, Gina? Do you feel comfortable reading? Hit it.
Yes, I do. Okay, let me pull that up. I asked her, would you take a hug? She said yes. We embraced in the same way as before, the spark between us gone. My body engulfed hers. I could feel her mind race, as if she had spun this exact moment in time, again, rehearsing what she would say. I pulled her in close with my left arm, placing my hand to the small of her back, as my right hand ran up the length of her arm, finding its way to her cheek. There was no space between us, like a lover's embrace without the kiss. I held her face, looking deep into her eyes, and said, "Are you back in your body?" Then I felt something else take over. I could no longer see her or hear the surroundings of Pete's. It all faded. It was just her, me, and a larger presence. I felt an energy flow through my body. Still looking deep into her eyes, I moved my hand to her heart. I began extracting energy from her body. I said nothing, just embraced her. Her body felt frail, eyes were big, she looked shocked, confused. My body felt powerful, immense, and yet gentle and weightless. We were engulfed by a dynamic force. I released her. She tried to speak, but was unable. I simply whispered into her ear, sometimes I love you is enough. That's it.
Yes, that's a tease. Tease. All right, Christine, hit it. I'm going to work on my lighting. You read your story. Go ahead, honey.
Some of it I think is your shirt. When I became 18 years old, I became my mother's guardian. I now had to make decisions for both of us. When I became her guardian, I filed to commit my mom to the state hospital. She had checked herself in years ago of her own accord, but I needed to make sure the care she received was not only compassionate, but permanent. I needed to know that she was safe. Excuse me. At the hearing, she made it clear she would never forgive me. This was the beginning of the beautiful and rocky relationship I had with my mother. It is not normal nor fair that a child raises their parent when they are growing up themselves. It is more common now, but it certainly wasn't back then. When I got married, I made sure my mom attended the wedding. My husband and I decided not to have children since the disease was genetic and we weren't willing to roll the dice. We both figured we needed to nip this disease in the bud if we could. Fate had other plans. The day I went to prep for surgical sterilization, I found out that I was pregnant the very same day. We had done everything we could to prevent this, but divine intervention is real.
See why I roll up in a ball on the floor and cry after. You guys are amazing. Your stories are amazing. All right, Lori, are you ready?
I'm ready. It was the day I hit rock bottom. My husband had just confessed that he was in the middle of his third affair during our 8-year marriage. His exact words, "Yes, there is someone else, and John, our 6-year-old son, has already met her. She is going to be part of my life." Devastation can't describe the feelings that pounded through my body. Rage, guilt, shame, and sadness hit me like a tidal wave. I collapsed onto a cold, hard, concrete floor in the back room of the convenience store where I worked. I was crying uncontrollably when my soon-to-be revealed guardian angel came to my side. The previous paragraphs are a synopsis of my first story, Mary Queen, published in Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope. It is my tribute to a woman whose kindness saved me from darkness and inspired me to rebuild an amazing life. Sharing our story uncovered many layers of well-buried trauma. My only regret was that I didn't have a chance to talk about the fabulous journey after the storm. I won't sugarcoat the facts. It would take years for me to heal, but through some miracle, an all-access roadmap to happiness was granted to me through Mary. There's just something about her. Let me introduce you to the Queen.
Anya, can't make this stuff up. So good. So good. Okay, Janice, we are ready for you.
Okie dokie. Instead of Vegas, we spent the next 5 days in the hospital. After a very long surgery, I had to learn a new way of life. We had no idea at the time the life-altering changes to come. 1 year after the injury, we had to walk away from it all, declare bankruptcy, and we lost everything. I put on 100 pounds thanks to depression, and the chronic stress darn near killed us. It was the most life-changing and painful experience of my life. The physical pain coupled with the financial stress of losing the farm and business was devastating to our entire family. I remembered my inner voice saying, I need a break. It was then that I realized I'd been saying this mantra for the previous 6 months as we had been working nonstop to create our thriving farm. This was such proof to me that the words you say and think matter. I never say I need a break anymore. Change begins with words. Ta-da!
Yeah. How's that feel getting some of that, your story out? Any thoughts, you guys? Anything you want to share?
It's hard for me to limit the words. I like talking and talking and talking. So that's where the challenge comes.
Right. That's one of the things I heard in the beginning when we were looking for authors for this. And by the way, if you guys who are listening, we still have a couple more spots. You can reach me at Peggy@allthingswellness.com. I think I have 4 spots left before we close the book, and we're hoping to get it published this summer, get it launched this summer. But that was one of the things, Janice, that ended up being so cute with this is that, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, first of all, I don't have a story to tell. And then second of all, how could I possibly come up with 2,000 words? And then they would come and go, Peggy, I'm 700 words over. Can you help me cut this? I was like, see, it starts to be easy when those, I think one of the things that I noticed the most is when we're telling our stories, bringing in the depth of the descriptions and the adjectives and all the sauce is difficult when we're telling it. And so as I push it back and I go deeper and deeper, and I've said this a million times, that peel back affected everybody's cathartic process differently. You know, a couple of people were okay with 3 or 4 pushbacks and going, yeah, I can do this. There's not that much emotion. And then I would be contacted and go, okay, I need to sit in this for a week. I'm a mess. Like layer 4 killed me, you know, or whatever. So what do you think, Christine? How are you feeling with this process? And what are your thoughts?
It was weird. I think since I sent it in the last time to you, I haven't looked at it. I think reading it today was like reading it someone else was you know what I mean? I felt like I was having an experience that someone else was reading the story, and I thought, wow. Well, first I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful. But then I thought, well, that explains why you're such an odd duck now. You know, it just.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Really, I was reading it. It just felt like from someone else's perspective. And I thought, wow, that's kind of deep.
I think we
you know
get
why that
So then I
happens
had a
because
hard
we detach. Like I started feeling so that they brought up a lot of emotions for me to revisit some of it, and then we get detached and put it away and it's done. And then I had the same experience re-looking at it, and then I saw a bunch of things I wanted to change. And then I was like, ah!
I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, it's that kind of out of body. The more you say things, like even with support groups, right? So it's like you're saying, you know, you're finally like, oh, I got to share my story and change the world. And the first few times you're on stage talking about whatever your story is, or you guys will see this in interviews, and you're talking about it, you're nervous at first. And then all of a sudden it becomes like almost script. You know, it's like, oh, hey, it was 1969. And then back in the day, and then you forget it's like, you know, your story. As I go around and kind of, you know, tonight's just a glimpse, and we're going to have more of these. And I just want to see what your final thoughts or anything else. Gina, would you like to share anything about this process or how you're feeling tonight?
Oh, yeah, it's actually an exciting process because I feel similar to what you guys are expressing, because writing like in a journal, but then getting out like this is a whole nother layer of healing and processing of events, right? Because I was different at the time of the experience, living the experience, and then different processing it after, like the aftermath. And then only God knows what happened to me at the end of this. Now I'm here sharing it. So I think it's, I don't know, it's just fun. It's fun. And I get to meet other people being creative while expressing really deep life experiences that we all go through in some capacity, or whatever our experience with life is, that we need to share it and talk about it. So we can be like this in front of each other and laugh and cry and be through to the other end of it.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. This is fun.
Exactly right. Good. Janice, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I think it's Lori, and I shared exactly kind of ditto to everybody, but yes, I agree with that too, you know, but because sometimes there's only so much you can take.
Well, you know what was interesting?
Nibbles.
Yeah, one of the commonalities, because we didn't know what was happening either from this side of it, right? I haven't co-authored with someone. I certainly didn't realize this was the most difficult layout of book to write because you have to deal with 36 other people. No clue. And then it's not only just dealing with 36 other people, it's not one subject. So it's not like we're writing a book about cars and I'm going, oh, cool story about a car. It's not the same subject. So I'm learning things about things I never knew, or diseases I never knew, or emotions I never knew whatsoever. So it's been completely, whoa, we didn't expect that at all. But one of the things that I can't wait to watch everybody go through is what happens after this, right? Because with the interviews and the support groups and book signings and friendships and collaborations that you would think don't even connect, and sometimes they don't even connect, right? You don't even know what happens. That is what 5 years from now, Gina could call me and say, yo, you're not even gonna, it is just so freaking cool. Lori, what are your last thoughts?
Well, you set me up perfectly for that, Peggy. Just really, really quick. I was a first-time author. I didn't even know if my story was any good. I submitted it, and within 24 hours, it was accepted. I never wrote professionally, so this is all just brand new to me. And whenever I was going through the interviews, Peggy interviewed me back in November, and I thought it was just a one and done. Oh, that was fun. And then she sent an email asking for more stories. Now, before you think I'm just going to keep talking about negative stuff. This story, the story's called There's Something About Mary. After I get through that part, is really, really funny. Okay,
right. So right.
It was so wonderful to write it. Somebody had asked me, would I write again? And I said, if I do, it's going to be completely different because the first story was so heavy. It was really, really heavy. So this is the exact opposite. So all those Mary Queen fans, if you're out there, if you want to know more about her, this is funny.
I think that's a really good point too, is that everybody owns their own story with no judgment. That's a really cool thing. One of the commonalities out of this that I also noticed is how disconnected the timeline, the chronological timeline goes when we write our own stories. Because I mean, some of them I'm like, whoa, where'd we go? Oh, okay. Oh, we're 10 decades. Ah, where'd John come in? Okay, gosh, now we're back in California. And I mean, it's just like, so that's been really fun, is the cut and paste of trying to help everybody chronologically, because it makes sense with our mind and our electrodes with emotions just going ping, 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 ping. So it's been really fun to kind of put that all in order. But I thank you guys for coming tonight, and I want everybody to look forward to chat number 3, teaser, coming up this probably the beginning of next week. And we'll stay in touch, my family. So thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Nice meeting everybody.
You too.